So, if you're a non-banking financial company or an NBFC, you know you're operating in a seriously competitive space. You're juggling massive loan volumes, all kinds of different borrowers, and regulations that seem to change every other week. And in this kind of environment, that generic, off-the-shelf software, it just doesn't cut it. In fact, it often becomes your biggest bottleneck. That's why building a custom system isn't just a tech project, it's a massive strategic move. So let's dive into how you can actually build one the right way. And this quote, it really nails it. We're not talking about some glorified spreadsheet here. A proper custom loan management system, or LMS, is the operational heart of your business. It's the engine that powers everything, from that very first application all the way to final reporting. It is without a doubt a competitive weapon. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start by digging into that core bottleneck holding so many NBFCs back. Then we'll lay out the strategic blueprint for your system and build its engine with 4 essential pillars. After that, we'll talk about designing for growth, the all-important journey from testing to launch, and yep, we'll even get real about how much this all costs. Okay, first up, the NBFC bottleneck. Let's really get into why that generic one-size-fits-all software so often fails in this unique financial space. This comparison really lays it all out. Off-the-shelf software tries to cram your unique way of doing business into its rigid, pre-built box. And what happens? You get bottlenecks and your growth hits a ceiling. A custom system, on the other hand, is built from the ground up to fit your strategy. The workflows are yours, and it's designed from day one to grow with you, not hold you back. So, how in the world do you start something this big? Well, it all kicks off with phase 1, building a rock-solid foundation and nailing down your strategy. Seriously, getting this part right is absolutely critical for everything that comes next. It really boils down to 2 key steps. First, you've got to get crystal clear on your business, your specific lending model. Once you know that, and only then, can you start planning the technical architecture to actually make it happen. And that means asking some really important questions. What kind of loans are we talking about here? Personal, SME, vehicle financing? Are you operating in just one region or all over the place with different compliance roles for each? And what about the products themselves? Secured, unsecured, or some kind of hybrid? The answers you give here literally become the DNA of the entire system. Once that model is locked in, it's time to plan the architecture. And the modern way to do this is with a modular design. Think of it like a set of high-tech Legos. You have a block for origination, another for underwriting, one for collections. They all snap together perfectly, but they're also independent. And this is so important because it gives you incredible flexibility. You can upgrade one piece without having to tear down the entire castle. All right, now we get to the fun part, building the actual engine. Phase 2 is all about constructing the 4 pillars that are going to support your entire lending operation. These are the absolute non-negotiables. Pillar number 1 is integration. Look, your LMS cannot be an island. It has to talk and talk seamlessly with everyone. Credit bureaus, payment gateways, banking APIs, your CRM, the whole shebang. Secure APIs are the magic that makes this real-time data conversation happen smoothly. Pillar 2 is automation. In lending, speed and accuracy are everything. A custom system lets you automate all the heavy lifting: credit scoring, approval workflows, checking documents, and even sending out reminders. This doesn't just cut down on human error, it frees up your team to focus on the complex stuff that actually needs their brain power. Next up, Pillar 3, compliance. Oh man, this one is huge. In a regulated industry, compliance has to be baked in from day one, not bolted on as an afterthought. We're talking complete audit trails, rock-solid data encryption, and strict controls over who can see what. And, critically, your reporting has to be flexible, so when the rules change, and trust me they will, you can adapt without a massive system overhaul. And the 4th pillar is all about proactive risk management. This is a total game changer. It shifts your team from just reacting to defaults to actually predicting them. With custom risk scoring engines and portfolio dashboards, you can spot the early warning signs and step in before a small issue becomes a big problem. So with the engine built, we can shift our focus to the people who will be using it and the future it needs to support. This is phase 3, designing for your users and for massive growth. A great system serves everyone who touches it. Your credit officers need their underwriting dashboards. Your ops team needs a clear view of disbursements. Collections needs to see who's behind, and management needs that high-level portfolio view. A custom system gives each of them a personalized dashboard with the exact tools and insights they need to do their jobs well. But what happens when you succeed? When your loan volume doubles or even triples? Your system's architecture has to be ready for it. Building on cloud infrastructure and using things like microservices ensures it can handle huge transaction loads and expand to new branches without breaking a sweat. You're building for the business you want to become, not just the one you are today. All right, we've planned and we've designed. Now it's time to make it all real. We've arrived at phase 4, execution. This is where the rubber meets the road. Before a single dollar gets processed through this system, it needs to be tested. And I mean rigorously tested. You have to validate every workflow, check every calculation, and stress test every integration. Any mistake here can directly hit your bottom line and your reputation. There are absolutely no shortcuts in this phase. And listen, launching the system isn't the finish line. It's actually just the start. The market will change, you'll dream up new loan products, and regulations will evolve. A well-built modular system is designed for this exact scenario, letting you make continuous improvements and upgrades without having to shut the whole operation down. Okay, time for the big question. What does all of this actually cost? Let's get into the practical side of things and talk about the investment you can expect. So for a solid foundational custom LMS, one that has all the core modules you've talked about and pretty standard integrations, you're typically looking at an investment in the ballpark of $120,000 to $250,000. Now, if you're aiming for a more advanced, enterprise-grade system with deep automation, predictive analytics, complex integrations, and maybe even some AI-driven risk scoring, that investment is naturally going to climb. You'll likely be in the range of $250,000 to $600,000, and sometimes even more. Ultimately, that final price tag really comes down to complexity. How deep do your integrations need to go? How intense are your compliance needs? How much automation are you building in? These are the key factors that will shape that final number. And all of this brings us to one final question you should be asking yourself. Take a really hard look at your current operations. Is your technology a true business enabler that's fueling your growth? Or is it an operational bottleneck that's holding you back? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know.